Well, did you feel the earthquake there by Seeley Lake, Montana? There was a magnitude 3.9, and it occurred at about 4:45 a.m. today, Friday, July 5th, 2024. They're having a small earthquake swarm in this location since then. And this area is capable of having a magnitude 7.5 or greater, and any earthquake has a chance of being a foreshock for something much larger. Hi everyone, I'm Mary with MaryGreeley News. Thank you very much for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Close to 100 people said they felt this earthquake. Here you can see the location on this map. The reason I'm showing you this is because when I click on the link here, it's not working. But we got Seeley Lake and a lot of other locations. I'm going to try and make that bigger. We got Coldspell, Big Fork, Polson. Let me bring it down here. Lolo, Helena Valley, Helena, Lincoln, and Stevensville. This is what happens when I click on the link. They don't have any of the names listed here. There is one report that was sent into the European Seismic Center. Now this comes from Missoula, which was 76 kilometers southwest, which would be a little more than 47 miles. Said they felt the bed shake like it does when the dog jumps onto it, but my dog was in her crate. So we have a total of 6 earthquakes, a 2.1, which was 12.2 miles in depth, a 0.9, that was 10.8 miles in depth. That was last month on the 12th. Also last month there was a 2.2, 6.2 miles, then today's 3.9, and since then there's been a 2.5, 11.7 miles in depth, and a 2.0, which was 12.2 miles in depth. So let me bring this out using Google Earth. This is an area that they consider a high probability of having a magnitude 7.5 earthquake. They did a scenario, I believe it was back in 2016. And you can see this location here. We also have the Mission Fault. Yeah, that one's a high probability of having a large earthquake. About 7,000 years ago, they had a magnitude 7.5 in that location. And then we got the Swan Fault. And you can see here we got compression going on with this location. And let me bring it out. In 1935, there was a magnitude 6.2. Yeah, they do have the threat of some older dams that could collapse. In 1925, there was a 6.6. Or it could have been as high as a 6.9. Then we got another one here, 1925, a 7.0. Yeah, are you prepared for a large earthquake? Do you have supplies, medical things? If you live in a remote location, it might be a while before someone comes to your aid. There was another report from a person that lived outside of Polson. Said the earthquake woke them up and shook the house back and forth for roughly 5 seconds. Up over here in 1945, there was a magnitude 5.5 by Flathead Lake. This is along the Mission Fault, and you can see over here, this probably somewhere in this location. I couldn't find the exact spot, but 7,600 years ago, there was a magnitude 7.5. Back in the 1990s here by Kila, they did have an earthquake swarm that occurred there. Going back to this 5.5 that occurred in 1945. That earthquake was reported in western Montana, northern Idaho, and eastern Washington. There were reports of dishes and windows rattling, from Helena, Montana to Walla Walla, Washington. In Kalispell, Montana, the shaking woke up most people. Many reported their homes were creaking, but there was no significant damage or injuries. Okay, the earthquake in 1925, that occurred near Three Forks. That earthquake caused significant amount of damage in different locations. I'm not quite sure where it occurred, but I got 3 spots. Could have been as high as a magnitude 7.0. There was damage to buildings, and cracks in the ground actually opened up. In the fall of 1935, there was a series of earthquakes that actually killed 4 people and destroyed or damaged dozens of buildings. But the most tragic seismic event in the state history occurred late on the evening, August 17th, 1959. Yeah, that was West Yellowstone, Hedgen Lake. That one was a magnitude 7.5. At least 28 people died as a result of that earthquake. That earthquake at Hedgen Lake was felt as far as, let me bring it down, Canada. 28 people died in that earthquake. Okay, let's go over here. It's not far from where we're having these earthquakes today. People in Polson, we'll go back up over here, said that that earthquake actually made them shake for over a minute. And this is currently where we're having the earthquakes today. Can you imagine a minute of shaking back and forth? At a drive-in theater somewhere in this location, people reported that it felt like someone was jumping up and down on the bumper of their cars. Another earthquake they had in this location was on April Fool's Day, but it was no joke. In 1952, there was a magnitude 5.7, and that one was followed by a series of aftershocks that lasted nearly 30 minutes, one after another, I imagine. That epicenter was somewhere near Swan Lake. Let me see if I can find it on here. No, they won't take me to it. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Let me try again. Okay, and I'll put in Montana. Oh, okay, it's in the same location. Okay. So that's Swan Lake. Right there. 1952, a magnitude 5.7. Yeah, and that is north of where they're currently having these swarms. There's Swan Lake, and this is where that 3.9 occurred. When I was looking into that earthquake, there was an interesting post that was in the newspaper. It said that if my house slides into the lake one of these nights, please throw me a rope. If that doesn't work, throw flowers. Now the Mission Fault, which is this one right here, runs along the base of the Mission Mountains. It goes from north of Missoula to Big Fork. The one fault line next to it, going east, that is the Swan Fault. And it runs along what they call the Swan Mountain Range, which would be right through here. Many geologists believe that a lot of the earthquakes that occur in this location are related to the Intermountain seismic belt, which runs from southern Nevada north through Utah and Idaho. There's evidently a large maze of faults that run through that area, and those faults can be up to 100 miles wide. Yeah, it stretches from Yellowstone National Park northwest to Flathead Valley, and that's where all these earthquakes are occurring. So did you feel any of these recent earthquakes? Did anything fall over from the magnitude 3.9? Have you had a chance to check for light damage for your foundation or sidewalks or driveways or cracks in your walls? Please put that information down below. And if you did feel it, how long did it last and how far are you from the epicenter? Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.